Well, Carl Rittenhouse has gone viral for one of his tweets in relation to Twitter's censorship. The 19-year-old wrote this tweet last night, which read, "Learning about the Twitter files and Elon Musk releasing the truth is making me more and more curious to find out if there was hidden censoring regarding my story and case on Twitter. I'm hoping one day soon I will be able to find out and the truth will be shown to all of us." So far, he's had over 41,000 people like the tweet. Rittenhouse was jumping on the bandwagon of tarnishing Twitter's use of censorship, which took place before Elon Musk acquired the company and vowed to change things. Musk was heavily outspoken before he officially bought the company, declaring things would be different, that free speech wouldn't be restricted, and that it wouldn't be a social media company that just served left-leaning users. Carl Rittenhouse, if we remember, was the teenager acquitted of murder in November last year. In a high-profile trial, he stood accused of murdering 2 men and the attempted murder of a third at a Black Lives Matter protest in Kenosha, Wisconsin in 2020. This trial gained international attention, with some media and politicians accused of acting as the juror from the sidelines and finding him guilty before the trial had even begun. He was labelled a murderer and a white supremacist, a term even Joe Biden used to describe the teenager. Carl Rittenhouse maintained in various interviews after he was acquitted that his trial should never have been politicised. Ever since Elon Musk vowed to expose Twitter's cover-up of scandals in relation to Hunter Biden, the company's censoring has been further thrown into question. So Carl Rittenhouse wants to know whether Elon Musk could release information on whether his story was also censored online. In came the replies from those who claimed their various tweets about the teenager were suppressed. Gillian Anderson replied, "Over 14 platforms shut us down, and mentioning his name was flagged as violence across many platforms. Getting an accurate account of his story, of his point of view, was nearly impossible in the court of public opinion at the time." She continued, "Immediately after the incident in Kenosha, major platforms like GoFundMe and Facebook shut down any grassroots efforts to help Kyle, with the latter blocking any mentions of his name whatsoever." Ian Miles Cheong wrote to Kyle saying, "I was briefly suspended for saying I believed in your innocence." Finally, someone wrote, "I think so. I was suspended for 24 hours for saying you did nothing wrong. There was definitely some kind of censorship going on." But of course, a lot of Twitter users responded, arguing Carl Rittenhouse couldn't have been censored, especially as his entire trial was live broadcasted. Elon Musk's recent exposure of Twitter's decision-making when it comes to the suppression of information has continued to grab headlines. When the platform decided to censor the New York Post's original story on Hunter Biden's laptop, it just opened a can of worms as to what else they've hidden, and how do you measure what information should be restricted from readers. Now that the laptop has been verified as authentic by most mainstream media, there are questions around what even is the point of free speech in the Constitution if the stories are suppressed. Fox News' The Five weighed in on all of this.
You have to look at this on a bigger level than just Twitter. There is an attempt to literally get rid of the foundations upon which and the principles upon which this country was founded. Why do we have a First Amendment? We have a First Amendment for freedom of speech and freedom of the press. And yet Michael Steele said in one of those quotes, although he's all about free speech, the so-called Twitter files undermine free speech because it is free speech occurring at the harm or expense of someone else. Since when do we qualify free speech as being at the harm or expense of someone else? I mean, why do we have defamation laws? If it harms you, sue.